The following program does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the staff, management, or ownership of this station.
The following pre-recorded program is brought to you by Vertuvian, a Texas-based registered investment advisor.
Now, let the uprising begin.
There are only two genders, and one of them is right here. It's the box that rocks. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Hello, once again, all my fellow patriots and you filthy leftist stalkers out there. Welcome back to my channel, my show, whatever. Before we jump into everything, I got to give a shout out to my boo. We're getting married in a month, you guys. No one is as surprised as me that I'm getting married to someone of such high quality, okay? Because I'm fond of saying I'm not for everybody, and I'm really, really not. But Fred is everything I could have ever asked for and more. And guys, I'm not even joking. He sponsors the show. His company sponsors the show. He is making me so much money every month with just my small investment. I'm not exaggerating. You really should give him a call. It's Vertuvian, VIRTUEVIAN.com. If you have any money at all, talk to him. No joke. Something else that's funny that occurred to me when they give the disclaimer at the beginning of the show, Corey. They're like, we may not agree with this wacky lady. Almost like, well, you should, okay? And today especially, you should, because I have lots to talk about. We're going to get to all of it, but I want to give another shout out to Corey. Did you notice my fancy earrings? Did you see my fancy earrings? Because I'm a fancy lady now. I got these gorgeous earrings. My little brother works at Johnny Dang, which is the rapper jeweler, evidently. He's famous for grills, but he also has regular jewelry. Little did we know. So we got our wedding bands there, and I got these gorgeous earrings. Fred got me some earrings for Valentine's Day. So shout out to my little brother, John, and to Johnny Dang. So thank you. Okay, let's give the sea turtle killing plastic straw. Now that we've dispensed with all the niceties. You guys, they are doing their level best. They are kicking that can as hard as they can, as far as they can, but it's not going to stop what's coming. So let's give it to the Democrats in the Senate, who are kicking and screaming and gnashing their teeth and wailing and screaming at the sky and pounding their chest to stop the inevitable confirmation of Kash Patel for FBI director. The way they're tripping tells you that that's the guy they're most afraid of. They definitely don't want Tulsi, and they definitely didn't want Kennedy. They didn't have a problem with Rubio, if you notice, but I will say, based Marco Rubio, I am enjoying based Marco Rubio, and I am of the opinion that a lot of MAGA didn't like Rubio. I was never of that opinion. I just think he's a very smart guy, and, some people didn't like him. I don't get it, but whatever. But I have to say, I think he's doing a phenomenal job as Secretary of State, pushing the America First agenda. Someone else is doing a really good job is Sean Duffy, who's head of transportation. I mean, the left is trying to have, connect all these recent crashes to Trump. Oh, see, it's Trump's fault. He fired everybody. He just went and took a blowtorch to everything. It's just get out. It's not what happened at all. And Sean Duffy has been so great about using his X account for good instead of evil, unlike what the Biden administration did. And he basically called out Hillary Clinton a couple weeks ago, and, when she's out there wagging her finger like the witch in Hansel and Gretel, come here, my pretty, get in this oven. And she's like, Trump is having all these problems. And he's like, have several seats, Madam Secretary. You're just upset because the Congress, DOJ, is going to be uncovering all the graft and grift that your obscene grifting scheme that your family has been up to for the last God knows how many years. And, of course, Chelsea Clinton, as I mentioned last week, oh, this is terrible. How can you accuse my family, my wonderful mother and father, who are just clean and pure as the wind-driven snow, as the Clintons are known to be? How can you accuse us of being grifters and sucking off the American taxpayer teat? when, I don't know, 98% of the Clinton Foundation donations dried up just mysteriously after she lost in 2016. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's a causation there, but I suspect that that's what we're going to find out. Anyway, Sean Duffy told her to have several seats. And he is using his X account, as I said, for good instead of evil. And he basically put out a shout out, a call out to all. He's like, listen, we need the smartest, the most technically advanced, the brightest people in the country who know anything about aviation and travel and infrastructure, whatever. We want to talk to you. It's not a situation that what we had for the last 4 years, very Soviet style, centralized, top down nonsense, where it's like, we know everything and we're the boss and we don't want to take any input from anybody. Actually, they're doing the opposite. And this is what real leadership looks like, because a real leader, and this is coming from the top, obviously, with Trump, a real leader knows they don't know everything. A real leader knows what their lane is. It's like I always say, know your damn lane, all right? Stay in your lane. Like my lane, like if I started giving Fred advice about the market and what he should be doing with certain trades, I mean, he would be like, talk about having several seats. He'd be like, go away. Like, you're dumb. Like, this is stupid. This is not your purview. And I am very much a person who knows her purview. Like, I'm good at a few things. I'm really good at running my mouth, and I know a lot of minutia about politics and culture. Like, that's my lane, and that's what I'm good at, and that's where I stay. Anyway, Sean Duffy is just basically, he's going to be renovating the Department of Transportation. This idea that it's all Trump's fault that these things are happening, well, it's not. And I think we're going to come to find out a lot of it's DEI related, which, of course, the last administration were standing for DEI, and God forbid we get rid of it. God forbid we hire people based on merit, like they know what the hell they're doing, like God forbid. But anyway, so Corey's giving me the 2-minute mark. God, this first segment goes so fast. I'll have to get to the Kash stuff in the next segment. I'm going to tease you with that, but I'm going to stay on this for a sec. So Trump has made it very clear that our airports are basically, crap and almost third world status. And he's like, going into Kennedy Airport, it's just like awful. And he just, he's ragged on this for years before he was president. And I think we're going to see a real boom of American jobs that are going to be updating our infrastructure, because I don't know if you'll remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but Joe Biden, with the Build Back Better program, there was like $4 billion allotted to, quote, fix the infrastructure. Where'd that money go? I mean, guys, there's a reason they're all having a meltdown over Doge. It's not because of your privacy, okay? Because Elon Musk doesn't need to see what you bought on Amazon. He doesn't care. They're freaking out, of course, because they're going to be uncovering all the graft. And when they start connecting the dots as to who got that money and where'd those kickbacks come from. And, Doge discovered the other day that $4.7 trillion in the Treasury that was paid out is just unaccounted for, because there was a code that whoever logged it in purposefully didn't log with the code. You guys, this has been going on a very, very long time. There's a reason that these disgusting swamp creatures never lose their jobs and are obscenely wealthy because they're in Congress. They weren't wealthy before, and somehow they're just obscenely wealthy, okay? It's all coming to a grand finale, and we'll talk about it more when we get back. You're listening to the Angela Talk Show.
Conservative, air combat, armed and ready. This is the Angela Box Show on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
It's MAGA contrarian air control. That's what I am. I'm a MAGA contrarian. I've always been a contrarian. It just is what it is. Okay, so let's discuss what Doge is uncovering and why they're so afraid of Kash. Okay, we're going to get to the Munich stuff. We're going to get to some good news about what's going to be happening in Department of Education. And I want to tease you with, I'm going to talk about some Blake Lively news. Get excited. Probably in the fourth segment. We'll do that. Corey, we just keep the segments as they are. We're good. Corey's like, why are you giving me show notes in the middle of the show? Well, it just is what it is. Okay. So, I can't. Okay, so the Treasury has lost, quote unquote, $4.7 trillion in addition to the other $2 trillion that Doge has already uncovered. Like, that's crazy town, you guys. You know, as the Trump administration is saying, this is a wealthy nation, okay? But we have the spending habits of a third world nation, and they're spending us into oblivion. They printed money that has no value, and let's talk about how at Fort Knox they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to audit Fort Knox too, which is where all our gold is. And up until 1971, we were on the gold standard. This outrageous spending would never have been acceptable because we were backed by gold, not paper, not the Federal Reserve monetary system. And look, I am not smart when it comes to this stuff. That is not my lane. But I do understand that if you have a gold-backed currency, that's a more stable currency. Well, we got rid of it in the 70s, and that's when all the insane spending started. So these dummies, these leftists who think the Keynesian economic types that think, you know, we just print money. And that'll be great for the economy. There won't be any inflation. We'll just create so many jobs. We're just going to hand out free money to everyone. It'll be great. Well, the money has no value, and that is why you're seeing prices through the roof. I mean, that is as rudimentary as I can make it. So they're going to go in and they're going to audit the Fort Knox, and evidently the guy that runs Fort Knox resigned the other day, which is interesting to say the least. He's like, let me get out of here. Real quick. It's like, listen, we're going to get to Kash, I promise. But when all is said and done, and one of the reasons they're so afraid of Kash, and I want to talk about the reasons, the many, 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 many things that they are afraid of with Kash Patel. But one of them is when it is understood by the world, because Trump has always said, we've caught them all. We've got it all. Okay. Once the world understands what happened in 2020 in America, everything that Joe Biden did is going to go poof. Okay. His little pardons for his son and for Anthony Fauci. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Biden crime family, all the pardons that you got. Bye-bye. Okay. So let's talk about what Kash has got on these people and why they're kicking the can. So I was all excited on Tuesday because they were like, I ran into Fred's office. I was like, oh, they're going to vote on Kash at 4 today. Well, no, they didn't. Okay. I checked Breitbart and they're like, a key vote on Kash was today at 4. It's like, okay, what now? So they voted on a cloture vote, which basically means that we're not going to debate this anymore. Okay. Nobody's minds are going to be changed by your caterwauling, leftists. Like, nobody's minds. So you can have a meltdown in your own little, blue sky, over a blue sky where you're screaming at the sky with your fellow lunatics. But we're all done debating on whether he should be FBI or not. We're going to vote. And so I don't know when the vote's going to be. I'm sure they'll figure out. Too bad Jamal Bowman's not still in the Congress. He could pull the fire alarm. That clown. Anyway, he'll probably be voted on end of this week or next week. And here's what they're afraid of, okay? So the biggest thing they're afraid of, I mean, there's a lot. Like, I don't know. It's like, which are they most afraid of? Here's what I think they're most afraid of, because I'm really enjoying, and I mentioned this YouTube channel before, there's this young kid. He's like Gen Z, okay? His name's Based Life Guru, all right? His channel's growing really quickly because he's been putting up the most hilarious full, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours of leftist commentary on election night. And this morning I was watching the Canadian Broadcasting Channel, which is wild to me because they don't even pretend to want anybody but Kamala Harris. They don't, I mean, none of them have really any objectivity at all, but it's like extra obvious at CBC over there. So they basically, anyone that would bring up the 2020 election was like, that's false. That didn't happen. That's been adjudicated. That is false. It's like, okay, well, let's discuss why they're so afraid of, listen, if you had a clean and pure election, okay, why didn't you go along with Donald Trump saying, let's audit these swing states. Let's recount. Let's look at these ballots. Why? If you're so sure you won. No, they didn't do that. They said it's the, quote, big lie. Like, look, the media is in on it with the government. Like, they're all going down, you guys. They're all going down. So, 2020 election, they're freaking out about that because we're going to find out how come y'all shut everything down at 10:30 at night. Oh, so sleepy. Oh, so sleepy. Oh, we're just going to go to sleep. Just have some milk and cookies and go night-night. They've never done that before. They finished the count. Like, what is this? And then, of course, famously, in Fulton County at 1:30 in the morning, Ruby Freeman and her daughter, which shockingly decided to sue Rudy Giuliani for defamation and won because the justice system is rigged, because he was asking questions like, hey, ladies, what were you pulling out from those suitcases of ballots at 1:30 in the morning when, quote, everyone had gone home? And then weirdly, you start dropping the ballots in, and I don't know, like Joe Biden's numbers just went through the roof, and it was 98% of those ballots went for Joe Biden. And then how come in Wayne County, Michigan, which is where Detroit is, how come there's video of Jocelyn Benson, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor, and the Secretary of State of Michigan, those dirtbags, those ice queens that are absolutely going to hell and prison, by the way. How come they were, like, seen around a white van that then had all these boxes, these bankers' boxes full of God knows what, at like 2:30 in the morning in Michigan? What was that? And remember the lie they told you? Because they had people on the ground taking video of, like, what the hell is this van doing here? At what is being pulled out of here at 2 in the morning in the dead of night when you said you sent everybody home? And what'd they say? Oh, it's pizza. It's pizza. We're just delivering some pizzas to non-existent workers that you sent home. Okay. And then, don't even get me started about the Voldemort machines with their, billion-dollar lawsuits they like to throw around. They are going down too. Because there have been cybersecurity experts that have gotten into those machines, and they're like, yeah, these machines have an algorithm programmed into it that switches votes 6%. So whoever pays the most, I guess, gets that vote switched for them. Now, again, there's a reason that Hillary Clinton in 2016 did not ask for a recount, did not ask for a forensic audit. A forensic audit, let me stipulate, is a lot different than a recount. Because they're going to put the ballots in, the same dirty ballots that they did before. No. A forensic audit, you look at the ballot, you check it to see, like, you look at it with a fine-tooth comb. You get into the machines, you look at their algorithms. Is there anything fishy in here? Well, guys, the reason that Hillary Clinton didn't ask for a forensic audit in 2016 is because she thought she had that wrapped up. She thought she had that system in place. Trump overwhelmed their system. That's why she didn't ask for one. A guilty person doesn't ask for a forensic audit. An innocent person, a person who knows they were screwed, asks for a forensic audit. That's what Trump did. And of course, it was the big lie. So that's the big one that they're freaking out with Kash with. Something else they're freaking out with, of course, is let's see, the Russia collusion hoax, which was perpetrated by Barack Obama, the first black president, and Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden, and the head of the DNC. And, oh, by the way, let's open the files on the Seth Rich case, shall we? Seth Rich, who a lot of us believe is the WikiLeaks source that gave WikiLeaks all the DNC files, who Bill Binney, a former CIA analyst, is like, yeah, that's not a state actor. And Julian Assange even said, it's not Russia, it's not a state actor, meaning it was an individual who had access to those files. The download speeds onto the Bill Binney was like, look, the download speeds do not support this coming from overseas. It supports someone being on the ground, putting in a thumb drive and downloading the files to it. Okay? And then at 4 a.m, right after he may or may not have given Julian Assange the files, he ends up murdered in Washington, D.C. at 4 a.m. And no, I mean, he got robbed, you guys, but nothing was stolen from him. Not his phone, not his money, not his wallet, not his watch. But he was robbed, okay? So that's going to be opened up too. The Russia collusion hoax, which of course had to be started after Hillary Clinton lost the 2016 election because there was no reason on earth that the most popular woman who ever sported cankles should ever have lost the 2016 election because she was going to shatter the glass ceiling. Her and her disgusting perverted husband, they were just going to shatter the glass ceiling, and it was going to be Clinton 2.0, and they were going to be the joint presidents, and it was going to be amazing. Okay? So that's another thing. Third thing that they're going to be worried about, I'll have to get to more of this in the third segment. Corey, as per usual, I have a million notes that I'm not getting to. Okay. Third thing they're worried about is that whole thing with Hillary Clinton's email server, okay? Her email server, her secret server that was unsecured, that Obama knew about, that he and every single one of his cabinet members were emailing with this woman back and forth on, with aliases, with Gmail accounts essentially, because that's what innocent people do, don't you know? This unsecured email account server that could have been intercepted by God knows who, and it probably was. And the reason that Jim Comey, famously on January 6, 2016, I'll never forget where I was, said, "Oh, I'm gonna basically prosecute the case against Hillary Clinton, but no reasonable prosecutor would ever prosecute Hillary Clinton for, bleach bidding 35,000 subpoenaed emails or taking hammers to Blackberries. Nothing to see here." And the reason, of course, they didn't is because it implicates Obama. Okay. Obama's dirty paws are all over all of this. And that's what they can't. That's what we're going to get to more of what Kash Patel will be declassifying with the permission of Donald Trump, of course. When we get back, you're listening to the Angela Box Show.
Fellow patriots and filthy leftist stalkers, it's Angela Box on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
Okay, just a couple more things, and then I want to move on to other topics, but it bears talking about because there's a reason that they're scared of Kash more than any of the others. There's a reason. He, of course, worked with Devin Nunes on the Russia collusion hoax and the Crossfire Hurricane hoax and basically exposed everything these people have been up to. I mean, those who scream the loudest, Adam Schiff. So something else they're going to be worried about is the Crossfire Hurricane, is the spying on Trump's campaign, which, never forget, I think it was Admiral Mike Rogers, I think. I haven't Googled it. I always have a mental block about the name, but it was an admiral. He worked with the NSA. After Trump was elected in 2016, Trump Tower, he was seeing, having all those meetings with people, and people were like, what just happened? Oh my God. And he got in and talked to him, and he was like, listen, Obama and team were spying on your campaign. I have the proof. And so that's when Trump started talking about the spying on the campaign. And of course the media went along. There's no evidence of that. Why? The first black president would never do such a thing. This guy that has a murky past, that, comes in, swoops in from Indonesia and somehow gets to go to Harvard? Like, what? Who paid for that, by the way? Who paid for Obama to go to Harvard? And how come in his Harvard, or it was a Harvard or Columbia? Forgive me if I'm wrong on the school. It was either Harvard or Columbia. How come in his yearbook blurb it said that he was a foreign exchange student born in Kenya, but that's disappeared from the internet? Look, Trump had his number a long time ago. Okay, he was talking about he's a birther person. Okay, I mean, just take a look at that birth certificate. It's cobbled together. It's copied and pasted. It's so boogered up. Come on. Anyway, there's other things that they're worried about with Kash. Let's see, the Epstein list, the Diddy list, and not just the list, but what they've got on these people. Because there's a reason that the usual suspects always go along, always do what they're told. I mean, look at Mitch McConnell. I mean, I shudder to think of what kind of fetishes that old crusty crow has. Can you imagine? But there's people are okay, Mitch is just, butthurt over Trump. I think it's deeper than that. I think he's got some fetishes because he's terrible. There's others. We could go through them, but there's a lot. Okay. Again, the people that scream the loudest. What do they have on these people? That's what Kash is going to be uncovering. soon we're going to be getting the D-class on JFK, MLK, and RFK. The assassinations of those three men that weirdly all have questions surrounding them. I think the one that has the fewest questions is probably MLK, but I'll be honest, I don't know that much about that assassination. I know it was some, good old boy shooting him down in, I think it was Memphis. Yeah, Memphis. But I'll be honest, I don't know much about that. But I do think it's good to have it all out there, and let's let the public see it. Like, let's see it. It's been 50 years. Like, there's no national security threat here. There's no reason. Also, I'd like to see the UFO stuff declassified. Fred and I like that stuff. I would like to see that declassified. I think there's just going to be a lot, you guys, a lot. Now, let's talk about some other crap. Okay, how much time do I have, Corey, in the segment? 8? Okay, cool. All right, excellent. J.D. Vance. Man, J.D. Vance. Everyone's like, oh, Elon and Trump are like this tag team. They sure are. But guess who else is in that tag team? Vance, Patel, Tulsi, RFK. They're all a tag team. They're all the FAFO 2025 crew. All right. I don't think J.D. Vance is like, stressed about Elon doing what Elon is doing. Elon is exposing everything these dirtbags have done. And I guarantee you when Kash gets in, and he will, it's just a matter of time, they're basically they're kicking the can so they could destroy as much evidence as possible. But I think what will be interesting, because there's really strange search terms that Google has, that are in Google. Now, look, someone smarter than me has figured this out. I went on WikiLeaks, and WikiLeaks basically said, there's some very interesting search terms going on around Washington, D.C. area, like extradition and criminal defense lawyer, and Swiss bank accounts, and what bank accounts can't be traced, and can I really delete my emails, and bleach bid, and very suspicious search terms that are all going around Washington, D.C., okay? So that's something else, obviously, that's going to be coming out. That's what Elon Musk is uncovering. He doesn't care about your pornography watching habits, okay? He doesn't care. He's not going into your tax returns. Are you a government official? Well, then, yes, you should be worried. And if you've done nothing wrong, if you're not rich, which, to be fair, Mike Johnson, the current Speaker of the House, who a lot of people are not happy with, me included, I think he could have done more, and I think he will now that he's got a mandate. But to be fair, Mike Johnson is not getting rich working in Congress. You know who has is people like Maxine Waters, people like Elizabeth Warren, people like Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff. I mean, take your pick, throw a dart. So obviously that is what Elon's working on. But J.D. Vance is, his lane is brilliant, smart lawyer guy who came from nothing, who went to Yale Law School, which is like the #1 law school in the world, okay? He goes to that Munich security conference last week. Y'all, it was wild. All he said was, we're concerned that Europe seems to be going down a bit of a tyrannical path when it comes to free expression and free speech. We're just, we share these values supposedly, but do we really? They don't have the Second Amendment. And the Second Amendment, ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why every tyrannical government comes for people's weapons, because that is the thing that safeguards the First Amendment. Never give up your guns. Even if you're not a gun nut. I am not a gun nut. I can barely shoot the ones I have. Trust me, you don't want me in an alley, okay? But thank God lots of people do know how to use those weapons. Don't ever give up your guns. Okay. So he goes and he basically is just it's concerning that Europe is kind of headed down a tyrannical path. And the meltdown, they're like, oh, you're just silly. That's immature. You're Hitler. The way, the gaslighting that they're doing is so remarkable to me. Watching Margaret Brennan of CBS News, who has just been in a mourning, a funk since Election Day, say to Marco Rubio, who's over in Israel, commemorating the Holocaust, when 6 million Jews were killed by Adolf Hitler, says with a straight face to this guy, Adolf Hitler, the Nazis, they used free speech as a weapon. And he's like, what are you even saying, lady? No, the Nazis were a totalitarian fascist regime that made sure people couldn't speak freely. What? And here's how, I mean, J.D. Vance didn't even have to wait a day before he was proven right, okay? With the mass migration insanity, Islamists, because they can't get guns over in Europe, but they have cars, they have access to cars, and they have access to knives, which in the UK, they're like, you know what we're going to do now? I mean, we took away everyone's weapons, and guns, and that didn't seem to work, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to take the knives, and we're going to cut down the tip of the knife on every knife. That'll stop it. It's like, these people are so stupid. People always will find another weapon. It's not the weapon, it's the person. And now Islamists, in addition to knives, they love them mowing people down with cars. Like, that seems to be their weapon of choice right now. And all over Europe, we have this happening. In Munich, the day that J.D. Vance was like, we might want to do something about this mass migration that is destroying culture and destroying countries, historical, centuries-old countries, importing the third world who do not share Western values whatsoever. And we might want to, highlight the fact that certain leftist politicians like Keir Starmer, the dirtbag prime minister of UK, hid the fact that a bunch of English girls were raped by Muslims. We might want to talk about that. And why did that? How come that happened? / hashtag diversity. Anyway, literally the day he's there, he's like, this just happened. And then 2 days after it, in Austria, some crazy Muslim, screaming Allahu Akbar, I wonder what his motivation could possibly have been, goes on a stabbing spree, kills a young child, and injures several others. And they're like, I don't know. I don't know what the motive was there. I think he's hungry, okay? Just give him more money. If you just give him more money and more stuff, they'll be fine. No, these people, I can't with these people. And then CBS News, 60 Minutes, which is getting ready to be bankrupted by President Trump. I'll get to that in a second. 60 Minutes does a ride along with German police, and they do a whole story, literally the Sunday after J.D. Vance goes to Munich and is like, yeah, you guys are being tyrants when it comes to free speech. And they're like, no, we're not. And then Germany literally goes knocking down the doors of pensioners, of people who are on a fixed income because they liked a post criticizing a German minister. What? Or calling someone fat, or calling someone an idiot. We have to arrest them for that. But you can't look into gang rapes by Muslims. You can't do that. But you can arrest people for liking a meme that the government says you can't like. And with a straight face, they're like, oh no, this isn't anti-free speech. This is anti-hate speech. Well, who determines what hate speech is? The government. The government that you can't criticize? Y'all, J.D. Vance, he was so effective, and you know how effective he was by the meltdown you saw. The glares, the usual suspects, the scum of the EU, which Margaret Thatcher famously said in 76 when the EU was founded. I'm paraphrasing, this is a terrible idea. This is going to destroy Europe. It's going to destroy nations. And sure enough, it has. All right, one more segment. We're going to talk about some Blake Lively stuff and some other stuff. You're listening to a Box Show.
Fighting for the conservative cause. It's the Box that rocks. Angela Box on AM 1070 and FM 1033. The Answer.
All right, so in some alphabet people news, this week, Trump Department of Education, which she's basically like, yeah, we're going to take a wrecking ball to that too. It's going back to the states, and we're going to see real quick the great divide between the blue and the red states, because once you uncouple federal money with, diversity, equity, and inclusion, things are going to rapidly change. We're going to get back to normal, you guys. We're going to get back to workbooks and worksheets and real math and, phonics and spelling and all the things that kids need to have in order to have that those critical thinking skills as they get older. But, that's a whole nother issue. Trump's put the directive out, and Linda McMahon enforced it. You have 2 weeks to get rid of all your DEI crap in your schools, okay? So no more pride, okay? No more telling little fourth graders to stand in a line, and then take 2 steps forward if you have 2 parents in the home. Take 3 steps forward if your father has a job. Talking about your white privilege, like that's going bye-bye. And look, this isn't about, and the lie they tell you is, oh, conservatives don't want to learn about black history. That is stupid. That is stupid, because black history is American history. But we don't believe in whitewashing things. Let's have the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right? We are not the ones who are, wanting to rip down statues. That's what the left does. Oh, and ISIS too, by the way, in Iraq. We're not the ones who do that. It's like, let's learn from our history, because these things happened. Let's learn from them. Let's stop pretending that it's still 1865, okay, leftists? I mean, I know that's all you've got because, everyone's enslaved. It's like, no, that's not. The level of propaganda that these poor kids have had to endure for decades tied to federal money is incalculable, the harm it's done, and it's purposeful, because that's what the Soviets did, and they knew. You get them young, and they're going to be yours forever. So, speaking of transgenders not having any more power, here's the reason why they shouldn't, and why the border should be shut down. And new numbers have come out. Evidently, Trump and team have deported about 14,000 illegals so far. To which I say, hurry up, okay? There's a lot more where that came from. But it's a good start. It's certainly a good start. And we're going to find out who are the people that leaked the locations of the ICE raids. And last week there was a story that it was the FBI that did that. I think Kash Patel might be looking into that too, by the way. And if we find out it was the FBI, and because Pam Bondi's like, well, it's an ongoing investigation, I can't talk about it. It's the FBI. That's what Homan said. I trust Homan. And Kash is going to be like, yeah, let's find out who did that, because you're going to prison. Anyway, there was a lovely transgender story that happened in New York this past week. A transgender illegal alien who, has Michael Jackson nose. I'm looking at this person's picture, and, big filler lips and lots of cheek filler. And an illegal alien, biological male, is arrested in New York for having his way aggressively without consent of a child in a public bathroom. Okay? So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Defend it. Please defend this. Okay? You can't. And basically transgenders in the military, that's going to go bye-bye, because you know why? Because basically they're stopping all hormone treatments, and they're stopping all the sex change operations paid for by you, which is a big reason why they would go into the military in the first place. Does anyone really think Pat is going in and wanting to be on the front lines? Put Pat in front there. Do it. If you want to be on the front lines, Pat, do it. Put her in the front line. Put it in the front line. Go for it. No, they're going to be cutting off all those hormone treatments. They're going to be cutting off the surgeries. Bye-bye transgenders in the military. They're gonna excise themselves out of the military. Trump ain't gonna have to do it. All right. Blake Lively. Blake Lively. If you don't know what I'm talking about, sometimes it's fun to talk about things other than politics, but this is also political. So Blake Lively, who is an insufferable, untalented twit, married Ryan Reynolds, and she's been dining out on that for as long as they've been married. I've never been a Ryan Reynolds fan. I think he's got beady eyes, and I'm not a fan of Canadian accents, and frankly, I'm not a fan of upper Midwestern Wisconsin accents either, but be that as it may. I've never thought he was particularly, I get it. He's snarky. He's like, I'm funny. Blah, whatever. I watched Deadpool because Fred was like, it's good, watch it. And I was like, after about 10 minutes, I was like, all right, I got it. I don't need to see this whole thing. But I fast forward. I hate, and I've said this before on the show, I cannot explain to you how much I hate long-winded action scenes and CGI. I hate it so very much. It's lazy storytelling. It's laziness. There's no plot. It's just let's have some CGI action scenes for 45 minutes. eat up some time. Anyway, I didn't like it. I don't think he's that interesting. Whatever. Blake Lively is absolutely insufferable. Okay, so over last year, she shot this movie called It Ends With Us, okay? And the actor and the producer and the director is a guy named Justin Baldoni, who, side note, ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why men should grab a pair and not be a beta. Because Justin Baldoni, he's a total fembot. He is down for the struggle. He is a feminist to his core. He says a lot about, as a man, I need to learn. We need to learn. I need to have dialogue with my other men, and we need to cry. Like, he's that guy, okay? He's that guy. But in this fight, like, most everyone is like Team Justin. Here's why. So she goes last year doing this movie. It looks insufferable. I didn't see it. I don't care. I cannot stand Blake Lively. I just don't think she's talented. And I've made this point before. Like, I am really looking forward to the day that we get to see Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' children with their original noses, okay? With Blake and Ryan's original noses, if you catch my drift. That's going to be fun. I mean, I don't know if Ryan did. I think he did. But Blake, for sure, has had a couple of schnoz jobs. Okay, so she goes on this set, and she basically, she's like, I want to be in control of the wardrobe, and she buys the most, like, $100,000 of the ugliest clothes you've ever seen ever. Like, she looks like a hobo lady. And she had just given birth, so she, wasn't in the greatest shape, and she was just wearing schmatas the whole time. It's bad, but it was like crazy expensive, kind of like what Meghan Markle does. She's like, I'm going to buy these $5,000 black leggings. I'm better than you. Anyway, it came out that she's like she wants to write scenes, and then there's a scene that Ryan supposedly wrote, and she originally took credit for it, but it was actually Ryan that did it. It's a whole schlemiel, all right? It's a fascinating schlemiel, because we have two people, Ryan and Blake. Certainly Ryan is A-list, okay? 100% A-list. There wasn't a peep about him being unpleasant or rude or anything like that. Now the stories are coming out that he actually is kind of an a-hole, okay? But people were afraid to say it because he's got his hooks in this whole stew. He's got his hooks in this whole stew. So she wanted to basically take over this film. Then, when the promotion of the film happened, she's out there like, it's about domestic violence, okay? She's out there going, okay, girls, wear your florals, wear your flowers, take your girls, it's a summer movie, it's just fun. And Baldoni, and they're doing separate press junkets because of the reason I'm getting ready to tell you, he's like, no, this is very serious, and we need to highlight the survivors of domestic violence, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, again, he's a fembot, like, fine. But anyway, the point is that she basically drops this complaint last December, and she has like this crazy allegations against him that he sexually harassed her and he made her feel uncomfortable and unsafe and like all kinds of crazy things. She then goes to the New York Times with these text messages and her side of the story, that these text messages that have, lack of context, missing texts from Justin and Team Justin, like they cobble together things, kind of like Barack Obama's birth certificate, but I digress. Anyway, New York Times runs with it. They don't get Baldoni's side. They run with it. So all of this comes out, and Baldoni's like, okay, this didn't happen, and we've got the real receipts. So he's suing her and Ryan Reynolds for like $400 million, and they're worth about $380 million, which is gross, but it is what it is. I like how he's like, and the pipe, and put that in your pipe and smoke it. I'm going to sue you for $400 million. He's looking to settle for like $200 million probably. He's going to be extremely rich because they will settle. And then he's suing the New York Times, which is my favorite chef's kiss of all of this, for $250 million. I hope he doesn't settle either of them. I hope Taylor Swift gets deposed, who got booed at the Super Bowl because of it, and because she's so anti-Trump, and because Kansas City fans hate her. Eagles fans hate her. Like, I want all these people deposed. I do not want him to settle. So in this case, although he's a fembot, although he's insufferable, these two, Ryan and Blake, are the king and queen of insufferable. Like, all the stories come out about Blake Lively, about what a piece of crap she is. It's fantastic, you guys. And it just shows you once again, karma always comes. All right, that's my time. You've been listening to The Angela Buck Show. Until next time, everybody, keep kicking ass and taking names. Peace!